This is a forgotten Grimm fairy tale the world chose to forget, one spoken rarely and remembered even less because it does not flatter humanity or soften the bargains it describes. Once there were three soldiers who had deserted the army during a long and bitter war. They wandered together through the countryside, penniless and hungry, knowing that if they were caught, they would be hanged without mercy. With each step, their fear grew heavier than their boots. As night fell, a stranger approached them on the road. He wore dark clothes, walked without sound, and spoke kindly, asking where they were going. The soldiers answered that they were running from death and had no hope left. The stranger laughed softly and said he could help them. He offered them gold in abundance, enough to live richly for 7 years. In return, after those 7 years had passed, they would belong to him. The soldiers knew at once who he was, yet desperation outweighed fear. They agreed to the bargain, sealing it with a handshake. At once the stranger vanished, and before them lay a sack filled with gold. For 7 years, the soldiers lived as they pleased. They ate well, drank freely, and wore fine clothes. Wherever they went, their money never ran out, and no authority dared question them. But as the 7th year drew to its end, their joy turned to dread. They remembered the bargain and knew the devil would come for them. Unable to escape their fate, they walked into a deep forest to await him. There, they met him again, smiling as before. He told them they would have one last chance to save themselves. If they could answer 3 riddles, they would be free. If they failed, they would be his forever. The devil led them to a house deep underground where his grandmother lived. She was old and bent, with long white hair and sharp eyes. When the devil left them in her care, she whispered that she pitied them. The grandmother hid the soldiers behind her skirts and told them to listen carefully. When the devil returned, she would trick him into revealing the answers himself. All they had to do was remember what they heard. That night, the devil complained loudly of hunger and asked his grandmother to cook. As she stirred the pot, she asked him casually what he thought was the fattest thing in the world. Without thinking, he answered that it was the pig. Later, as he ate, she asked what he believed to be the leanest thing. He laughed and said it was the millstone, worn thinner with every turn. Still later, she asked what was the quickest thing of all. The devil replied that nothing was quicker than thought, which could travel faster than any creature. Finally, before sleeping, he was asked what he found most beautiful in the world. He answered that it was the sun, shining over all things. The next morning, the devil brought the soldiers before him and began the test. He asked the first riddle, and the soldiers answered as they had heard. His smile faded, but he nodded. The second and third riddles followed, and again the soldiers answered correctly. With each reply, the devil grew darker and more furious. When the final answer was given, he screamed in rage. The bargain was broken. The devil vanished in a burst of fire and smoke, and the underground house collapsed into the earth. The soldiers found themselves standing alone in the forest, alive and free. They kept the gold they had earned, for it had been given willingly. From that day on, they lived without fear, having escaped damnation not through strength, but through wit and a grandmother's quiet defiance.